Hello and welcome to another edition of News Showcase. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. In a major ruling, the Supreme Court has struck down the electoral bonds program for political financing and said that it infringes on the citizens' right to information. The main opposition Congress party has welcomed the court's decision. The program was introduced in 2018 to prevent the infiltration of black money into the political system. The court ruled that it cannot be justified by its purported goals of combating black money and protecting donors' privacy. It said there are also other ways to stop illicit money. The Chief Justice of India declared that the State Bank of India would immediately cease issuing these bonds and furnish the Election Commission of India with information regarding donations received through this method. Protesting farmers camping on the borders of Delhi say they are waiting for the government's response to their demands. A third round of talks started late afternoon after negotiations between the two sides ended without agreement this month. Thousands of farmers have gathered at the border crossings to march into Delhi to draw attention to the demands, which include legal guarantees for what is known as the minimum support price for their produce. Most of them belong to the northern agricultural states of Punjab and Haryana, and they are reportedly prepared for a long-drawn protest. Authorities have sealed all entry points into Delhi, and roads inside the city have been barricaded with a heavy deployment of police. Reports say more than 3 lakh security men will guard India's general election, which is due by May. The decision was based on requirements sent by regional election officials. The security forces will be deployed to various protection duties, such as securing polling stations, election sites, and guarding of election materials. According to reports, the Central Armed Police Force will be the major component in the nationwide deployment on a rotation basis. Voters will choose a new parliament, and some states will also choose a new legislature in the elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said his Bharatiya Janata Party will win 370 seats, and together with its allies, its National Democratic Alliance will cross the 400 mark in the 545-member lower house. India's Chief of Army Staff is on an official visit to the United States, where he engaged in discussions aimed at strengthening bilateral relations and fostering global peace and security efforts. General Manoj Pandey commenced his visit by reviewing the U.S. Army Guard of Honor before participating in a solemn ceremony and paid respects at the tomb of the unknown soldier at the Arlington National Cemetery. The visiting general will also engage with units at the forefront of military innovation and strategy, and he will also visit the California National Guard. The engagements between General Panda and senior leadership of the U.S. Army are poised to yield substantive outcomes, fostering an environment conducive to shared security interests and defense cooperation. Indonesia's Minister of Defense Prabowo Subianto is expected to be the country's next president after preliminary results revealed that he had received more than half of the vote in Wednesday's election. Hours after polls closed, he addressed jubilant supporters and said, "The victory is for all." Reports said the dreaded former general avoided a runoff by garnering over 57% of the vote. It will take weeks to receive complete results in the biggest single-day vote in history. However, in prior years, Indonesia's state-approved polling samples or quick counts, which are conducted shortly after voting, have shown a fair amount of accuracy. The 72-year-old Prabowo is a divisive personality whose rise to prominence has raised concerns that Indonesia may revert to its authoritarian past. A lawmaker from Pakistan who emerged victorious in the contentious national elections held last week has renounced his seat, claiming that the results were manipulated to benefit him. The Jamaat-e-Islami Party's Hafiz Naim-ur-Rehman was declared the winner of the provincial assembly seat in Karachi. The politician said the candidate supported by jailed ex-Premier Imran Khan's PTI party had received significantly more votes than him and decided to give up the seat. Pakistani authorities have denied the allegations of rigging, and which party will claim the seat is not clear. Khan had said earlier that the outcome of the polls was manipulated to deny his supporters a clear majority to form the government. Japan's gross domestic product declined for 2 consecutive quarters as the country unexpectedly entered a recession. In contrast to the previous year, the GDP of the nation shrank by a more alarming 0.4% in the final 3 months of 2023. It followed a 3.3% contraction of the economy in the preceding quarter. Figures released by Japan's Cabinet Office also showed that Germany now leads the globe in terms of GDP, knocking Japan out of the third place. The UK has also entered a recession after 2 quarters of negative economic growth in the second half of last year. Official sources said the GDP decreased by 0.3% in the fourth quarter of 2023, following a 0.1% contraction in the preceding 3 months. Ahead of an important court hearing, the Australian Parliament passed a motion urging the US and UK to release WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Next week, Assange will make his final appearance before the UK's High Court to contest his extradition to the United States. The Australian national, who is being held at London's Belmarsh prison, is wanted in the US on suspicion of espionage and may spend up to 175 years behind bars. By a vote of 86 to 42, Australian lawmakers supported allowing Assange to return home. Assange is wanted in the US for allegedly breaking the law and endangering lives in 2010 and 2011 by disclosing thousands of confidential papers online. The Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, has announced his engagement to Jodie Hayden, his companion of 4 years. On Valentine's Day, he proposed with a specially made ring in the Prime Minister's official house in Canberra. According to reports, 60-year-old Albanese and Hayden, who is 45, met at a business dinner in Melbourne in 2020. He is the first politician in Australia to be engaged while holding office. Albanese and former Deputy Premier of New South Wales Carmel Tabot separated in 2019 after 19 years of marriage, and they have a 23-year-old son. Their relationship was less visible in the initial stages until Hayden joined Albanese on his campaign trail in 2022. Campaigners claim that social media platform X gave subscription benefits to banned outfits and terrorist organizations. According to Tech Transparency Project, X approved blue check marks to accounts connected to Hezbollah members and similar groups. The blue tick allows access to longer postings and better promotion, which was previously available for free. The badge indicated that X had confirmed the identity of the user. Celebrities, world leaders, and journalists made up a large portion of the verified category. In the wake of the report, the platform said it has withdrawn verification for a few accounts, but insisted its security procedures were robust. Critics have said, if not regulated properly, it would lead to spread of false information on the social media network. As the US prepares for the presidential election in November, Russia's Vladimir Putin has said that he preferred a Joe Biden administration than one under Donald Trump. In comments bound to raise eyebrows, he claimed that Biden was the more seasoned and reliable individual, but said his criticism of the Ukraine war very damaging and incorrect. In 2016, Putin had called Trump outstanding and talented prior to his first presidential campaign. Before the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Biden was a strong critic of Putin and called him a killer. According to reports, Putin also made it clear that anyone who becomes president and gains the trust of the American public will have Russia's cooperation. A private US-based startup, Intuitive Machines, has launched its first lunar lander from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The spacecraft, named Odysseus, carried by a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, will land close to the moon's south pole next week. If all goes according to plan, it will be the first time a private company has made a successful lunar landing. It would also be the first American attempt at a successful soft landing on the moon in 51 years since the Apollo 17 mission. NASA, which has funded the project, has awarded the company a contract to carry 6 scientific instruments to the moon to analyze radio waves and study the moon's surface. A study has found that as early as 2025, the melting of glaciers might cause the Gulf Stream to collapse, cutting off an essential ocean movement. The North Atlantic region's climate is mostly controlled by the Gulf Stream, a strong ocean current that originates in the Gulf of Mexico. Its warm seas move heat from the equator to the poles like a natural conveyor belt, affecting the weather patterns along the way. The study predicted the Gulf Stream to collapse between 2025 and 2095, with a central estimate of 2050 if global carbon emissions do not decline. Western Europe's climate is greatly influenced by the Gulf Stream, whose warm waters help to moderate temperatures, especially during the winter. Thank you for watching. I am Priya, Tamil Nadu's first artificial intelligence news presenter. Do tune in, same time tomorrow, for a roundup of the latest news and updates in India and around the world.